Hi, welcome to Just Common Sense. My name's Brian Harrison. So, guys, we've got exciting news that happened last night. Great news. Donnie Harrison won the primary. So I want to give applause to Donnie Harrison. Great job, Donnie. I was there with you when you were going through this, so I definitely want to thank you for everything you do. All right, so also tonight I got Jerry on the line. Say hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
And there he is again. So Jerry knows Donnie as well. We're going to talk about Donnie quite a bit tonight. We're going to talk about what happened in the whole thing last night, what happened with everything last night. So, Jerry, you want to go ahead and start some of this off, and then I'll break into this because I know you want to talk about Donnie too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was thrilled to death to not only see that, he won the primary, of course, and he'll be representing, his particular party that, he's running as a Republican. He'll be running as a Republican in November now and representing that party. But what I was really thrilled to see was it was a, dominating victory. So it wasn't questionable. It wasn't that, some people liked him, some people liked the other guy. I mean, he had 80% of the vote. And so the other 20% was split between two people. So one guy got 80%, and that should tell people the confidence that, people have in Donnie Harrison.
That's correct. And, we're going to talk about these other candidates that ran as well and where the percentages are, some of them. Obviously, Willie Rowe shows that he won last night on the side for the Democrats. Now, this will be a possible runoff from my understanding. It will be a runoff. That's what Baker's calling for. So,
well, man, I got to tell you, if I were Rowe, I would be screaming for a recount right now.
Exactly.
And the reason I'd be screaming for a recount is the threshold for a runoff is if you do not get 30% or more of the vote.
Right.
And Rowe came in at 29.45%. So he's less than 1%. He's just about 0.5% below the threshold for a runoff. So I'd be screaming for a recount first if I were him. And the thing is, he should also be confident that he beat him once, he could beat him again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But why run a second campaign? And, in a selfish way, I'm kind of glad they have a runoff because that means they're going to, suck up all the air in the room fighting each other. And, basically kind of leave Donnie alone, and they're going to use up their campaign funds, and Donnie won't have to use his. And so, in a selfish way, I'm glad they have a runoff, but, in a realistic way and in a fair way, I hope that, they do a recount. And you know what, if there's a runoff, there's a runoff, but I just don't want it to be, questionable,
Exactly. And that way it will be fair. It will be fair. If there's a runoff, it's going to be fair as well. And we're going to see that usually happens, my understanding, June, July, something like that. So we'll see the runoff. It's got to be soon
because they have to be done in time to put together a formal campaign for November.
Right. And then, of course, we got Cedric Herring, I believe. He's up there, too. And Jerry had a valid point. If we took the other candidates that were underneath and put all those together, all those numbers, he would have won. On the
not even just the ones underneath, just the bottom two.
The bottom two, exactly.
Yeah, not even all of them. I mean, because if the bottom two, if you had split their votes between Baker and Rowe, then what would have happened is Rowe would have hit the 30% threshold.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is something to look at. And then we got to look at the other side on the Republican ticket when they were running last night. I mean, you got, is it Tevon Howard, I believe?
I think it's Tevon.
Tevon. I'm sorry, Tevon.
Yeah.
Tevon Howard. So
I believe it's that. And if I mispronounce it, I apologize to Mr. Howard.
Yeah, me too. We're trying to get this. So, and then obviously we got David Blackwell. Now, their numbers obviously were low. But these are important numbers. All these numbers are important because these numbers, we're looking at them, and we need to focus on November, guys. We really need to focus on what's going to happen here in November because you've got to look at all these people that voted for these guys, and you got to look at where the number is going to go in November. So Donnie definitely got 80%. That's huge, huge. But where are these other votes going to go in November? That's what we really need to focus on. And when I look at the math, I look at where it is right now, my opinion still is Donnie's going to get it, and he better, because obviously he's got more experience than all these guys. He really does.
One of the things that I'm hoping for is about a year and a half ago, I had the opportunity to meet Roy Taylor, who came in fourth last night on the Democrat side.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to speak with him at length. And, basically what I told him was that I was hoping that Donnie Harrison would run again. And at that point, we didn't know that Donnie was going to run again.
Right.
And I talked to Roy Taylor, and I felt very, very comfortable in telling him that based on our discussion, that if Donnie did not run, that for the first time in my life, I would vote for a Democrat for sheriff.
Right.
So I think Roy Taylor is, a stand-up guy, and I don't know if he's involved in the runoff or if the runoff's just the top two or, whatever. But, I got to tell you that, if Taylor's not involved in the runoff, or even if he is and doesn't win, I am hoping that a lot of the people that were Taylor supporters are going to say, hey, you know what? Taylor is very much like Donnie Harrison as far as, his experience level and his knowledge of law enforcement and, his wanting to uphold the law.
Right.
And that's going to be what's important here, is upholding the law, as well as undoing much of the damage that the Baker team has done since he's been in office. So, I'm really hoping that a lot of the Roy Taylor supporters are now going to support Donnie Harrison.
Yeah, and for those of you who voted for him, focus on that. Think about it. Guys, this is
or if
not...
you know somebody that voted for him.
Right.
This is the time you need to be talking to your friends about stuff, and not telling them to do things your way, but just telling them to, at least do their homework and be knowledgeable about what's going on.
Absolutely. And, when you look at this is not where I'm going with this. It's basically not about Democrats and Republicans at this point. And I'm saying this for a reason. I'm saying it's about what's going on here in Wake County. What's going on across the country? We're seeing it everywhere. Crime's up. A lot of things are going on. We talk about Antifa. We talked about, obviously, BLM. A lot of things happen. We saw what happened in Raleigh a couple years back when they were burning businesses and breaking windows and things like that. A lot of people down there I know, and they were very upset. They're still scared that this could happen again. And like I said, if you could look on the side of the sheriff's office down there currently right now, and I just saw this picture down there. Drive down there and check it out. It's still out there. Burn it down. And it's faded, but again, it's still on there. So why didn't he take that off? Well, we know why. We're not going to go into that tonight. But that being said, so guys, you really need to focus on the experience. You don't need to focus on, okay, well, I'm a Democrat. I'm just going to vote for Democrats only. I'm a Republican. I'm going to vote for Republicans only. You need to do this on the experience. And Donnie Harrison has more experience than any of these guys. I even say he has more experience than Roy Taylor. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Absolutely he does. Like I said, Roy was my second choice.
Okay.
And he knew that. And going in, he knew that, when I talked to him.
Right.
And, but the thing is, Donnie Harrison has been the sheriff of Wake County.
Right.
And so right now, the amount of time that it's going to take to get up and running in the job is far less for Donnie.
Yeah.
Because he has been the sheriff of Wake County. He already knows where the bathrooms are and the garbage cans and the water fountains and everything like that. He doesn't need a tour of the building and everything like that. He can literally walk in and go to work on day one.
Yes.
Everybody else, except for Gerald Baker, everybody else in this race has not been the sheriff of Wake County, and the learning curve is going to be much greater, which means that the amount of time that it will take them to get assimilated into the job will be far more.
And these people that are on this, that ran last night, all these people on both sides, I know a lot of them definitely have respect for Donnie, and Donnie has respect for them as well. I'm going to keep one name out of it. I don't know if he has respect for or not, but I'm sure the other guy does not. We can guess who that may be. But I've never talked to Donnie too much about this. You know who I'm talking about. The guy that's currently
I don't think Donnie knows Joe Biden.
Huh?
I don't think Donnie knows Joe Biden.
I'm talking about Baker.
I knew that.
Yeah, I really don't know. I'm sure my understanding is I believe they may have worked together. I mean, Baker's been there. I believe he was in there for a long time, so
Well,
they
there's a
know
difference
each other.
between having respect for a person, and having
Right.
respect for the position that a person
That
is
is
holding.
correct.
And I'm going to tell you right now that
Yep.
I know Donnie can't say it because,
Yep.
he is not only running for sheriff, but he is the
Right.
former sheriff and potentially the next sheriff as
Mm-hmm.
well. But I have spoken to a number of deputies, and the ones that I have spoken to, I have not heard a positive word about Gerald Baker from currently serving deputies. And
That's
that's a
true.
concern because,
Yep.
when you have somebody, if Brian, if this were just a company, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if I owned a company and you were talking to my employees, and let's say I owned a shoe store and you were talking to my employees,
Right.
and my employees were just all complaining about me, and none of them thought I did a good job,
Sure.
and none of them thought that I took care of them properly and everything like that, you probably aren't investing in my shoe company because
Right.
I'm probably going to fail. And so,
Absolutely.
when you have these deputies that don't have anything good to say about the current sheriff, I understand you might not always like your boss. You might
Sure.
differ on opinion with
Sure.
your boss, but these guys do not like their
Right.
boss, and they don't think, because you got to remember that
Yeah.
he's putting lives in danger with some of the policies that he's putting out there. And these
Right.
guys go out there every day and put, their personal safety at risk depending on what they're doing.
Yeah, and Donnie's going to re-implement some of the policies he's had in the past, which were fantastic policies. We talked about immigration the other night. We talked about what's going on with the illegals and stuff in here. That was one thing that you and I brought up in a whole podcast the other night. Now, again, Donnie is not taking sides here. He's not going to say, okay, well, Democrat and Republican. He wants to serve the people. He doesn't care if you're Democrat or Republican or whatever the case may be, if you're independent. He's here to serve the people and make sure that his deputies are doing the right thing, which they all love him. He knows how to implement his job and handle everything and get this all straight, because this would not have happened on Donnie's watch, what happened a couple years back when you had all these buildings and all being burnt. For those of you out there who are listening, I want you to go ahead and definitely research what we're talking about. Understand that Donnie cares for each and every one of you. He cares about your protection. Now, if you're doing something wrong, you're going to jail. If you're breaking the law, you're going to jail. Because November, he wins. Guess what? After that, I think it's January he'd be in. Is that right, Jerry? Yeah, January.
Yeah, I think it's January.
Yeah, January. Guess what? There's a new sheriff in town, and he's been there before. He knows what he's doing. But
you know what?
He's
Here's the
going
thing,
to.
though, Brian.
He's very kind to everybody. Go ahead.
The irony is, what you're saying is 100% true. You're
Right.
breaking the law, you're going to jail. But here's the funny thing: when people like Donnie enforce the law, crime goes down, and believe it or not, less people go to jail.
Absolutely.
And so that's the irony of the whole thing. Everybody thinks that a strict sheriff that follows the laws is going to put more people in jail, but in reality, it's the opposite. It's because people know that you got a no nonsense sheriff that's not going to let them get away with stuff. Then a lot of the people that were thinking about doing something, are going to be like, well, there's no more free ride anymore, so I better be careful. And so what happens is crime goes down, and when crime goes down, guess what? So do arrests.
Absolutely. And guess what? Taxpayers.
But I got to go on the record with one thing, though.
Go ahead.
Okay, and I know that you know this.
Go ahead.
As soon as Donnie's elected,
and he will be.
Here's what happens. My concealed carry permit, I've had it for almost 10 years now. And every 5 years, you have to renew it.
Sure.
Well, what's going to happen is my renewal period comes up before the election.
Right.
And so, Donnie, I know you're going to be listening to this. So what I want is my first 2 concealed carry permits had Donnie Harrison's signature on the back as sheriff. And so anytime you have to show it, whether I'm buying a firearm or, if you have an interaction with a police officer, you're required to show it, everything like that. And I've been proud to show it to them for the last 10 years. because it says Donnie Harrison on it. I do
Mm-hmm.
not want to go through the embarrassment of having Gerald Baker's name on the back of my concealed carry permit for the next 5 years. So, Donnie, I will be coming to your office after the election because all
Right.
I want is the signature. I don't want you to pull any favors, any strings.
Of course.
I just want a real sheriff's signature on the back of my concealed carry permit. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I want. You don't
There
have to
you
get me
go,
anything for
Donnie.
Christmas. You don't have to get me anything for my birthday. Just, sign the back of my concealed carry permit.
But Jerry didn't. Jerry also said that he might get Donnie a Christmas gift or something for birthday, right, Jerry?
Absolutely.
Donnie's going, okay, I'll take that. Oh,
and if it's alive, I'll leave holes in the box so she'll be able to breathe.
Oh, gosh. All right, guys. So I want to bring up something, too. We're talking about Democrats and Republicans. We also need to talk about, and you know how I feel, I'm not racist at all, but we need to talk about race. We do. You don't need to vote on a person based off their race. You need to vote for a person based off their experience. Does that make sense? I want you guys to think about that. It's not based off race, gender, any of that. It's based off experience. And Donnie has the experience. I was with Donnie last night. Do you know how many people were around Donnie yesterday? It is amazing how many people walk up to Donnie and they look at him like he's a hero. And I mean, they thank him, they hug him. He is a gentleman. And you know what? I'll say it this way too. If you do, and we were talking about this last night actually, and if you're a criminal and you do get arrested, he's still going to treat you with respect. He's still going to treat you with respect because he knows you're a person. He knows you're a human being. You made a mistake. It depends how bad it is, of course. But again, he'll still treat you with respect. And he's going to do that with his deputies. The deputies are going to treat you with respect. But like I always say, for those of you out there, including myself, if you get pulled over, roll your window down by any police officer, whomever it is. I mean, we're talking state trooper. Anyway, roll your window down, pull to the side of the road, turn your flashers on. Make sure you pull to a safe place for the sheriff or police officer involved. And treat them with respect. Give them your ID. Give them your insurance card. Obviously, if you have concealed and carry, you know to do that right away. Give them that. Tell them where you got the gun. If you have a gun and you have concealed and carry, tell them everything. You tell them. And treat them with respect. And you know what? They're going to be really nice to you. They really are. And you're not going to get in much trouble if it's just a ticket. We're seeing videos out there now where people say, I don't have to give my ID and keep their window halfway up. Well, you're causing a problem. They're just people on both sides. We're just all human beings. And that's what it's about, guys. It really is. What's your thoughts on that, Jerry?
No, I totally agree. And, Donnie, you're about to learn something about me.
Look out, Donnie. Donnie, he talks a lot.
I have been pulled over more times than anybody that I know, okay, in my lifetime. I've been good the last few years, but in my lifetime, I've been pulled over more times than anybody I know. I'm probably somewhere in the 90+ range. And so, here's the crazy thing, though, with all those pullovers, okay?
Yeah.
I have some tickets, not near 90, but I do have some tickets. However, I have 0 arrests. You know why? Because I answered the questions, complied, gave my driver's license when they asked. If I was carrying, I told them I was carrying. And it's like, so, I never once have I been pulled over for speeding or improper lane change or something like that and had a problem other than just getting a ticket, which I deserved, Oh,
yeah.
And so, that's the thing. And it's like, so, all these people that talk about, the police are overbearing, the police are this, the one time that I had a really overbearing police officer on the side of the road, one of my best friends was an attorney, and he had told me how to respond in a traffic stop. And the police officer was over the line. And so what he had told me is, don't try your case on the side of the road because you'll lose. He
Absolutely.
said, if you got a problem, he goes, go to court with it. So this guy was overbearing. So I had my friend that was, carpooling with me, and, we just yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, sir. And then we went to court, and, guess what? No ticket. And,
Absolutely.
but, I have never, like I said, never been pulled out of the car, never been arrested, never been handcuffed on the side of the road,
Right.
or anything like that. And, I've been pulled over more than once while I was carrying. And,
Yeah.
but like you said, you hand the guy your concealed carry permit, tell him you're carrying. Then if he asks you, oh, where are you carrying? You tell him where it is.
Yeah.
And, if he
Absolutely.
asks you, I had one guy that was genuinely, he was a firearm nut like I am. And he's like, oh, what are you carrying? Oh, yeah. What caliber? Yeah. He
Yeah.
wanted to talk about my gun there.
Yeah.
And
Did he
it's
give you a
like, so,
ticket?
yeah, he did. Now, I had one guy that I had that conversation
Yeah.
with that did not in West
Uh-huh.
Virginia one time, but no, the one guy was
Yeah.
like, and he goes, well, he goes, you know what? He goes, I really appreciate it. You being so cooperative. He goes, but you do know I have to write you a ticket, and and I deserved it.
Well,
I'll
and
tell you
that's
that.
the point. If you deserved it, you deserved it.
Yeah.
And Donnie, by the way, his driver's license. Never mind. I don't know it.
Oh, I'm clean now, man. I'm good.
Well, so am I. But the odd part is, I've been in North Carolina since '92, and do you know what? I haven't received one ticket. That's, oh my gosh, I drive like a grandma or a grandpa.
Yeah, I just do so
Gosh.
much driving for work. I'm probably somewhere in the million-mile range, overall in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and the majority of tickets I've gotten were on my way home at the end of a long week, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to get home. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I mean, but hey, I mean, like I said, I mean, with all those pullovers, and hey, I'll throw the challenge down. And anybody
Yeah.
listening tonight, if anybody's got me beat on number of pullovers, man, let Brian know.
Absolutely.
I doubt it, but
It'll be interesting. We're going to go ahead and have a see who has the most tickets out there. And then
if
when we
anybody's
find
got triple digits and you can prove it, I'll buy you dinner.
there you go. There you go. Donnie, you'll get all their information. Oh, gosh. So last night I was actually down there, and I talked to a lot of people last night. There were a couple sheriffs down there as well, people working for Donnie. I'll tell you, all of them, my hat's off to all of you guys. I respect all of you in law enforcement. You guys are fantastic. If it's not just for the sheriff's department, it's for the Raleigh Police Department, it's for the state troopers, it's for the Cary Police, it is even for the Apex Police Department here. I'm telling you, I run into them all the time. I talk to them. They're the nicest people in the world. Guys, just go up and talk to them. If you want to do something kind for them, they you know what? They're public servants. They're working for you to protect you, and that's what they are doing. I mean, go up and buy them a lunch, buy them a dinner, whatever the case may be. You don't even have to tell them you bought them dinner. Just do it. Because I always say this, if you go up and you tell them, hey, look, I just bought you dinner, you're just making yourself feel better. Just go do it and walk out, and that's it. If you feel like if you're able to do it financially, right. Let's say it that way. Because some people I know, they, money's tight and stuff, but just go up and thank them for their service otherwise. That would be nice, too. It makes them.
It's funny you say that. I did that today at a gas station.
Yeah.
It was over in Mebane, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And there was an officer there, and she was in the gas station. She was writing up some sort of citation on a vehicle. And,
right.
So when she was back in her car, and she was sitting there in her car and she was printing out the paperwork, I just kind of walked over and stood at the side of her car, and she rolled her window down. I was like, hey, I just want to thank you for being out here, and just tell you have a nice day and be safe.
Yeah.
She was like blown away, and she just started smiling. And she says, hey, thank you very much. And you do the same. You be safe out there. And I was like, but, her whole demeanor changed.
Absolutely.
It was like, because here she is. And I got to tell you something. Sometimes when they're doing something like writing a ticket, that they might not want to be doing that. They might be thinking, man, you know what? This person's really nice. I wish I didn't have to.
Right.
But it's like, so, sometimes they're having a rough day when they have to do it. So, it was just kind of funny because her whole demeanor changed, like I said, when I did that.
Yeah.
And by the way, while I was there, I did that sticker on the gas pump.
All right, Donnie, that's illegal. Go ahead. No, I'm kidding. What sticker? Don't say it, Jerry. Oh, gosh. I don't know what you're saying. Anyway, we're going to move on from that sticker. So,
yeah, that's a real sticking point for some people.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, just think about what you're going to do. Think about the right choice, because we're going to be talking about Donnie Harrison a lot over the next couple months. We're going to be focused on him quite a bit. And guys, as always, get out there and vote in November. Vote, 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 because I always say it, if you don't vote, and you say, well, there's a lot of people voting, he's going to get it anyway, and, I think I'm just too tired, or maybe I work too long, and, I just can't get over there. Well, that's no excuse. There's plenty of time to get over there. And because what's going to happen is you're going to sit there and all of a sudden you're going to say, oh, who won what? You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you didn't vote. Because I always say this, if it comes to anybody, president, whoever the case may be, if you didn't vote, you really don't have a right to speak or complain about anybody that,
Well, Brian, I got to tell you, I know the number of hours that you put in at work, and I know the number of hours that I put in at work.
Crazy hours, yeah.
So if anybody wants to say that, they don't have the time to go vote, I'm going to have to challenge you on that.
Absolutely. Don't even go there, because, I work 12, 14-hour days a lot. Yep. A lot. And sometimes even more than that. And you do as well, because I know I talk to Jerry a lot, and he's on the phone late at night. He's constantly writing things down. He's always on his computer doing stuff. So there's no excuse. No excuse at all. The only excuse that's out there is you, if you don't do it.
Especially now with early voting and absentee voting and all that stuff. There's no excuse not to vote right now.
Right.
Any reason that anybody basically the only reason you wouldn't vote is just that it was so unimportant you forgot, that it was unimportant that to you that you forgot, or that you're just lazy.
Okay. All right. So, again, I'm just going to go ahead and give another applause out there to Donnie Harrison. Great job last night, and his staff as well, and everybody that helped him, and everybody out there that voted for Donnie. Guess what? Again, applause to everybody out there, including all the police officers, sheriffs, troopers, everybody across the state and across the country as well when it comes to the law enforcement. Guys, as always, just want to go ahead and thank you for everything. And now we're going to talk about one other thing. Look, I'm going to talk about somebody else who is, I think, is a powerhouse. I'm going to say it. A powerhouse, a future powerhouse. And what I mean by that is Adina Safdia. Look, Jerry and I have talked about her on the show. Donnie actually talked with her last night. A lot of us did. Look, I'm going to say it this way. What's on paper is on paper. What's in a lot of people right now, as she may have won, I believe she did win in many ways. We'll just say it that way. But paper is paper. And Donnie said that part last night. He did. He said, what's on paper is what you have to listen, what you need to listen to. And, Adina, you've got to really focus on what's going to happen, because you're a powerhouse. You are probably one of the best candidates out there to actually go to D.C. and be a congresswoman in D.C.
She was the most electable of the three in the primary, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And
I just think that the Republican Party didn't stand behind her enough.
Right.
And the thing is, sometimes in your first race, maybe the name recognition isn't there yet.
Yes.
And maybe your network's not in place,
right?
Or something like that. And I was like, but I just I can't see her getting into another race and not pulling it out.
I can't either. I think she will. And Donnie told her this last night. He told her, he lost. I believe he said he lost his first race in the beginning, but he said the same thing to her, and that's what she's going to focus on, because she's coming back, guys. She's not going anywhere. I'm telling you, there's no coming back. She's not going anywhere. And she's a
really
fighter.
Sharp. She's got a good work ethic.
Absolutely.
She's got, strong integrity. She is the kind of person that whatever she runs for, she's the kind of candidate that I want.
Absolutely. And she's sincere. She's very sincere. So, and when you talk about her and you talk to her, she is talking constantly about what she can do to help the people of this country. She focuses on that. She focuses on the Constitution. She talks to the people. I'll tell you what, I talk from the hip. I don't generally have notes. I have a few tonight just on the numbers. But I watched her last night. I watched her a few times. She just can get right in front of a camera and go right at it. Kind of like when I get in front of a camera. I have no notes and all that. I really wanted to say so much in front of cameras last night. Speaking about cameras, I want to bring this up as well. So there were certain news channels out there last night, and we brought this up. And I know Adina wanted to be on the news last night. So Adina did say something, and I agree with her on this. She said to the news media, well, can I get on the news and speak as well? I would love to have an interview with you guys right now while you guys are here. Well, what district are you in, they asked. What does that matter? What does that matter to the news channels out there? Are you not being fair to the candidates? Are you picking and choosing?
In her district not watching television?
Absolutely. And you're not being fair to her. That I'm going to bring up against the news channels out there, just like we're seeing that across the country again. We see it constantly. Well, I don't think
there's any surprise that the news media, has not been fair for decades.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about them or say a particular, or not bad, but I'm not going to say anything about the names of these channels because some of them she probably didn't catch, they were gone. But the two that we spoke with, well, what district are you in? They didn't want anything to do with her because they already had their candidates picked out. They already knew what they wanted. And let me tell you something else. When you talk about the ones who are the one that won last night, supposedly won, is it done by basically, or I should say, is it done by this person's knowledge, or is it done by people backing this person up with lots of finances and money?
Well, it's a combination of the money and also the backing of the party, because once you become the party favorite, and now don't get me wrong. Okay. One thing I want to say,
right
now that she has won the primary, I hope that Christine does a good job. I don't want her to fail because she wasn't my candidate in the primary. I want her to do well because now that she's the candidate, I need her to get elected and I need her to do a good job because if she fails, I fail.
Absolutely.
Because, I'm the person that she's serving. And so, I do hope she does well. I just, she had the backing of the party. She had financing, things like that. When I looked financials up online, she had far more money spent, because she had the money to spend. And
absolutely.
So, that's the unfortunate side of things.
Yes.
You're right. It is sometimes it is a popularity contest, and sometimes it's, the money that you have. And there was none of the candidates that you and I talk about on here, but there were a couple of candidates that I looked at statewide that won that I was not thrilled with.
I know.
Because of what we're talking about, that they're just connected and have money.
Right.
And there was a couple, and, I won't get into that, but
sure.
But I know you were talking about the news media too, that,
absolutely.
You really, I know you don't want to call them out and everything like that. So here's what I'd like to do. Which, because I wasn't.
I can't call. I'm not going to call them out because some of them are supporting Donnie as well.
Local stations were there, and which affiliates were there. So what I'll do is we'll just take a different tack with this instead of going after and mentioning the ones that didn't do their job and didn't do a good job.
Absolutely.
Why don't you go ahead and take 3/4 of a second to a second and mention the ones that did do a good job?
Well,
exactly.
Right. Yeah, and there you go. But they did do great with Donnie.
Brian and I have both done negotiating over the years, and it's like we both learned to get our message across to the other person sometimes by using the back door,
Yeah. But Donnie Harrison obviously has done a great job. Now, I want to go back into Adina one more time here. Adina, she's going to, I'm going to get her on camera again here, and we're going to get her on a podcast. I'm working to reach out to her right now, and we'll see what she does here. But she's got a heck of a future. I want to use another word, but I'm trying to be clean on my show. But she's got a great future, and I mean, there is no doubt she is going places. And I'll tell you what,
folks, let me go ahead and share some with you.
Yeah.
All the people that were, fans of Tavon Howard and David Blackwelder, you know what? David and Tavon did not win last night, and that's nothing that,
Right.
negative against them personally. They
No.
just didn't win.
Right.
So you folks need to get behind, the best candidate in
Right.
this race that's left in the race.
Right.
You had your reasons for choosing the people that you chose,
Mm-hmm.
and and I respect that. And instead of getting upset
Yeah.
with the person that you didn't vote for winning, contact Donnie, talk to him, and say, "Hey, look,
Absolutely.
here's what I liked about Tavon Howard. Can you
Mm-hmm.
incorporate this
Yeah.
into your platform? Hey, here's what I liked about David Blackwelder. Can
Yep.
you incorporate this into your platform? Because what we don't want is for people to just sit home and be butthurt and
Right.
not vote, like you said,
Absolutely.
and and it's like, so the thing is, contact the candidate that is now the candidate that that beat your candidate,
Right.
and tell him the good things about your candidate, the reason you voted for your candidate, and ask him if he's
Yeah.
willing to work with some of those things. And
Absolutely.
the same thing. And guys, I'll tell you that for those of you that voted for Adina, that's what we need to do too. We need to
Yeah.
press, Christine Valverde now,
Right.
and we need to tell her, hey, look, I didn't vote for you.
Yeah.
Here's why I voted for Adina, and will you commit to
Yeah.
doing this?
Yeah.
And
And
it's
for
like,
those,
and
yeah,
you know,
and for those of
but
you,
that's with
obviously,
any candidate.
right. And for those of you, obviously, Adina's still got a lot of supporters out there, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay with her on over the years, and she's just going to get more and more and more supporters. And I'm telling you, she's going to be out there talking to all her supporters because she has a lot. And a lot of the numbers, in my opinion, with all the numbers I saw come in last night, there were a lot more numbers out there, I feel, but I'm not saying on on paper it's one thing, but I mean, there were a lot of people that said, okay, I'm probably going to go vote for you, but they didn't, because they, like we just talked about, oh, there's probably going to be enough, and guess what? This is what happens. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Cheeseburgers at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, I'm not going to get out and vote. There's enough numbers there. She'll win and all that. Well, now they're looking at themselves. Maybe I should have gotten out there and voted. Just like it's going to be for Donnie Harrison, because I'm telling you, in November, he's gonna take it, no problem at all. But you got to get out there and vote for Donnie. I'm telling you, he's got a great staff, great people there, and Donnie is phenomenal. He is the best. He knows the policies, and Jerry and I were talking about this earlier too. If we weren't in this, I'm going to say, if we weren't in this situation that we're in right now, when you look at all crimes going across America, and you look at what's going on in Raleigh, North Carolina, in the Wake County area, and across the state and everywhere else, Donnie's the man for this. If we were in a different time, we didn't have all this, like going back to somewhat normal times, yeah, one of the other people that are running may be okay for that part. But with the experience Donnie has, he's the one that's going to handle this right now, what's going on. So anyway, anything else on that, Jerry, before we end the show?
Yeah, he's just right now, things have gone so sideways on us,
right,
under the current sheriff, that what we need is somebody to come back in, bring sanity back to
absolutely
Wake County and to law enforcement in Wake County.
Yeah.
And we need an adult to be in charge again. And, Donnie's at a point in his life where, guys, I got to tell you something. I mean, he's probably saying, gee whiz, I wish I could go, just hang out and fish with my grandkids and, go to soccer games and, things like that. And I was like, so for him to, at this point in his life, after he's already served as many years as he has, for him to come out and say, hey, I feel it's very important for me to come back and right the ship,
right,
then, you should really pay attention to that, because, here's a guy that, he's at a point in his life where he probably could be very comfortable just going and relaxing for the rest of his life, because he has served for so long.
But Jerry,
he's going to come out and he's going to actually, go back to work and spend the hours and put in the work and do the time and everything like that for you guys,
Jerry,
not for him.
Right, Jerry. That's true. I spoke with Donnie yesterday about this, and you know what, Donnie, yes, it's okay to be where he is at a point, but Donnie loves his job. He loves being sheriff, and he says, I want to be sheriff because I love what I do for the people. I love being a sheriff. And he said, I mean, I talked to him. I said, well, you're not going to be out there on the road doing all this stuff. He said, I will be at times. He said, I'll be talking to people and I'm going to stop crime and stuff like that. He's going to be out there. But, when you look at a man like this who loves his job that much and cares about the people right now in Wake County and the whole country, obviously, on both sides, if it's Democrat, whatever the case may be, it's not about the party. And it's not about the race, the gender, any of that. He just cares truly from the bottom of his heart about the American people. And I'm telling you, I met his whole staff last night, his family, everybody, and they're all the same. They just love what's going on. They want to take care of you guys. All right, as always, we're going to end the show right now, and go ahead and make comments, guys. If you want to reach out to me, go to my website, just-commonsense.com. Again, just-markcommonsense.com. Scroll down to the bottom, join my YouTube, share, subscribe, share, subscribe, including the podcast. The podcast is growing like crazy. Guys, as always, I want to go ahead and thank our law enforcement, which we've been doing all night, for everything you guys do out there. You guys are awesome. I want to thank our first responders. You guys are awesome. I also want to thank our military. Again, you guys are going through a lot right now. So, guys, oops, see, I even hit something on the keyboard, gave them music. How do you like that? So, also want to go ahead and thank our farmers. I want to thank, obviously, our truck drivers out there, and I want to thank everybody who's out there working really hard to try to collect the paycheck. Guys, we respect you. We know inflation's going crazy. We know gas prices are up right now. But let's get the right people in office all the way around this country. Starting right here in Wake County, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue with Donnie Harrison. We're going to get him back in office November. You're going to see it. You're going to see it's going to be a landslide. You're going to hear it right now. Mark my words on this. It's happening. So, guys, as always, good night. Take care. God bless you. God bless America. And thanks for listening.